Hey guys, it's Alex from 7th Hour Films. Happy Easter! Today is the day when we remember a guy that died on a cross 2,000 years ago and searched for the eggs of bunnies in hopes of obtaining candy and money. Weird, but most people focus on the religious aspect of today. In fact, the night before Easter, you can watch the Ten Commandments from 1956 on ABC. Which is strange, as it has nothing to do with Jesus, but whatever. We're not here to talk about that version of the film. We're going to talk about the original version, from 1923. That's right, the first feature-length religious film ever made, produced and directed by Cecil B. DeMille, who actually made the 1956 version. Why would a director remake his own film 23 years later? Well, we'll get into that in a minute. The movie is split into two parts. Part 1 actually begins pretty far into the story of Moses. Too far, in fact. Like the movie starts with Moses threatening the 10th plague. Kind of puts you at a disadvantage if you don't know the story. Even if you do know the story, it's still pretty jarring. Once you figure out where we are in the story, it's actually decent. The acting is kinda goofy, but most silent films are like that. The set design is spectacular. Apparently, the 2,000 actors playing the soldiers and all the townsfolk lived in tents for 3 months. The city was huge. Each of those statues of Ramses is about 35 feet tall and weigh about 5 tons each. On top of that, the walls of the city were over 120 feet high. After filming ended, the city was just bulldozed, and you can still find Egyptian artifacts buried on the California coast. Okay, I could keep gushing about the set design, but I think you get the point. The special effects are pretty good for a 1920s film. Of course, being the Ten Commandments, the two biggest effects are the parting of the Red Sea and the creation of the Commandments. The Red Sea is an interesting effect, even if it looks more like jello and not water. I think someone forgot what a pillar of fire is supposed to look like, but it does the job. And the Commandments are cool, but I can't figure out how they did it. The first part is really good. If you need something to put on in the background, this works. Just be sure people know what's happening. But now we get to part 2. Are you ready for this? No, really. Are you ready for this? It's really weird. Just when God destroys the false idol and the Jews fear for their lives, it cuts to a family in the modern day 1920s. Yes, the movie, The 10 Commandments, is now a film that takes place in the 1920s. Starting to see why this movie was remade? The plot is now about Johnny and Danny, the sons of Martha McTavish, and how they live their lives. Johnny is a good Christian like his mother. Or maybe they're Jewish. The film never really specifies. Danny is an asshole. Alright, pardon my French. I know I try to keep this show PG, but it's true. Danny is the biggest... I'll say dick. That's a little better. Danny is a dick. All his mother is trying to do is give her son some decent values, and he's just a dick. He finds this girl, she's also a dick. And I'm not really exaggerating here. These two are horrible people. You know how atheists are portrayed in PureFlix films? Cruel smartasses that hate everything to do with religion, as opposed to the kind of people that don't really care if you believe in God or not? Yeah, that's our main character now. The kind of guy that laughs during a prayer, and vows to break all 10 commandments out of spite. I hope you like this, because we are never going back to Moses. Years later, Danny is the richest contractor in San Francisco and still wants to break all 10 commandments. It's discovered that Danny uses bad material in his buildings, and is called out on it by Johnny, who works as a carpenter. Their mother is out seeing the new cathedral that Danny built, and is crushed by a falling wall. Unfortunately, she ends up dying, and because of this, Danny sees the error of his ways. No, that's a good film, Ed. No. No, no, oh no, it keeps going. The film continues for another 30 minutes. After his mother's death, Danny starts to look like Kramer from Seinfeld and becomes a leper. This is because of some red commandment or the half-Chinese, half-French woman. I don't know. But this ends up driving Danny mad and he dies. The end. So remember, kids, if you break the 10 Commandments, they will break you. No, really. That's the tagline of this film. 'Cause if you're struggling with sin, isn't this what you want to hear? That you can't be saved by God? Okay, to be fair, the movie does have a sinner that's saved at the end of the film. Danny's wife. She's also a leper and goes to Johnny to ask God for forgiveness, which he gives her. But Danny is the main character. Why would you not have him be forgiven too? Why did we need to keep going after his mom died? Why couldn't we have just ended with Danny seeing the error of his ways? The second part of the movie sucks. It's horrible. I cannot recommend it at all. But the first part is good. If you just want the 10 Commandments part of the film, it's a solid 50 minutes. It's fun to see how it was portrayed back before the 56 version. If you have some time to kill, I'd give it a watch. I don't remember where I found it, but I'm sure a quick Google search can help you with that. The second part is just terrible, and I hope you never have to watch all 86 minutes of it. Unfortunately, there's no good version of the 10 Commandments other than the 1956 version in The Prince of Egypt. But if you already know the story, I would give the first part of this movie a watch. With all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time.